All right. Good morning, YouTube. Welcome to the morning market update for this Tuesday, December the 3rd of 2019. Hope you guys are well. We have a great update for you today. Cyber Monday is over, and markets are down this morning on some news from Donald Trump and the trade negotiations. All right. So at 5:09 in the morning, which is right when the market slid from where it was trading, we were trading at 31.19 approximately. Donald Trump said that it's probably better to wait until after the 2020 presidential election for a China deal. There's no deadline on China deal, he says. Going completely against um, anything he said before, totally out of nowhere. That caught the market by surprise. I think it's unfair for the large traders, the people who have big size on, to be caught up in this kind of stuff. But you know what? For me, I love it. I love this kind of volatility. It's going to create a lot of tradable intraday momentum and opportunity for us. But there doesn't seem like there's a strategy in place. China and the U.S., I mean, surprise, we've talked about this. I said, I don't even think a deal is ever going to get done, let alone before 2020 starts. So anywho, S&P 500 futures are trading 31.19. Now they're trading 30.85. To put that in perspective for you, that's about 38 points lower in the last in the last 3 hours rather. All right. White House is also considering kicking Huawei out of the U.S. banking system, according to sources. That came out at 6:07 a.m. That fueled the downside even more. 8:08 a.m. China responds in the Global Times and says that U.S. appears to be backpedaling in trade talks. Tariff threats will have a zero effect on China's stance because Chinese officials have long prepared for even the worst case scenario. So let me put this to you in the another term, because reading these news squawks, they could be a little bit sophisticated to understand, but let me put it in simple language for you. You have a friend and you guys have been trying to negotiate something for a very long time. He says, screw you, I don't really care. We don't have to make a deal. If you don't want to do this, I don't really care. I could wait. And then says, by the way, I'm going to probably kick out one of your best friends living in my basement. Take that. And then another friend says, you know what? I'm ready for the worst. Bring it on. That's where we're at. I think sometimes you got to just put really simple terms in understanding these negotiation tactics. I don't think either side has the upper hand. We're back to nothing. I think the stock market's going to let off a lot of gains because this is a trade deal is factored in the most optimistic scenario. So we're going down. This is one of the worst times for retail traders because they just probably bought the top. They convinced themselves it's time to get long. And now we're going down. I'll tell you this. If you are one of those traders that found yourself getting long at the top and now the market's down and you're holding a position without a stop loss, that's not a good idea. It's always better to go with the side of momentum than fight this thing. So rather than buying this massive knife falling down, get out of the way and look to sell a rally. And if you don't know what selling a rally looks like, get out of the way and wait for this thing to bottom out. It hasn't finished dropping yet. All right, so I'll tell you this. Trade negotiations have fallen apart. We're back to square one. This is pretty bearish, and we could see a slide. All right, the Santa Claus rally may not save this. I think that going into the end of the year on this new update, I mean, Donald Trump said it could take as long as after the election. I don't think markets are going to like this. I think this takes the Santa Claus rally off. We're down almost 1% already on the Spooks, the S&P 500. And we're off to 31. What was all-time high here? 31.59 half. 31.58 was a high. Now we're trading 30.88. So, we're down about 70 handles off the all-time highs, as we should be in light of this news. There's nothing really to panic or freak over about. Just take this information and make money out of it. All right. New round of tariffs are set to kick in on December 15th. We're almost sure that they're going to kick in at this point. We're back to escalating the trade war, not resolving it. Also, the escalation spreads further on this trade strategy from the Trump administration. He put on a 2.4. He said he wants to put in tariffs on $2.4 billion of goods coming in from France. France says they're not going to take that, and they're going to retaliate if the U.S. follows through. All right, so even more trade negotiation tactics. What's been happening here is, I don't know if you guys know this. This is not going to be a popular opinion. If I get a few down likes on YouTube, it's not going to change my life. In fact, it's actually going to help the algorithm. And down like it if you like, because it's going to help us spread the word even more. But I'll tell you this, it's my job to be honest with you and talk to you like somebody who's a professional trader, not somebody who wants to hear or be told what they want to hear. This is the truth. The reality of the matter is it's been a long relationship between the U.S. and China that both have benefited from. China's really created a lot of wealth for themselves for a very few amount of people. The average Chinese citizen is living on $8 a day. So clearly not everyone's benefited from this expansion in China. And the U.S. has exported all of their manufacturing sector. All right. So it's been a mutual relationship. China had production and profitability potential. Well, the U.S. had cheap spending and cheap purchasing, cheap consumption overall. So now that hasn't worked out because China's going to leap over on GDP size, now it's not acceptable. So now something new needs to happen, and this is why there's such drastic action. But I'll tell you this: it's happening at a time, Donald Trump's negotiation tactics over this, happening at a time where it still matters to China. If it was another 10 years, China would have developed their middle class as well, and there would have been a lot more consumption. They wouldn't need demand anymore. China still needs demand. So what are they doing? They're going to trade with other partners. So when China says we're prepared for the worst case scenario, what they're really saying is we've started this whole back and forth. So now we're looking for other trade partners to do business with. And they're slowly replacing the goods that they're exporting. They're finding new markets globally. Right? It's going to be hard to replace the United States. Maybe it'll never be replaced, but they are looking abroad. So when you're, for example, let me tell you this: if China's exporting $800 billion on an annual basis, I think it's less than that, $600 billion to the U.S., and the U.S. tariffs 500 of it, and they find a $300 billion buyer in Europe. All right, doesn't matter how much tariffs are on there. The U.S. could put 6,000,000% tariff on it. For every dollar they export it, they have to owe them $6 million of tariffs. That's great, but what if China doesn't sell any goods? They just pull it off the market. Then now you have consumption that's needed without a supply source. Prices go up, and your real salary value of what you're making goes down. All right, I could probably do a whole webinar on this. I didn't mean for this morning market update to be this intense and in depth on the situation, but I think I have to shed some light on this. Okay. Cyber Monday, Black Friday hit a record of $7.4 billion in U.S. online sales. Purchases made by smartphone on Friday, this is mind-boggling, accounted for $2.9 billion of the total sales, a little bit less than half. So more people are actually buying online than going in store, which I'm not surprised about. All right. It was the biggest U.S. online sales day ever, other than Cyber Monday, 7.9 billion. We don't know what Cyber Monday's numbers were like because Adobe Analytics is still going through that information. But according to 80 out of the top U.S. online retailers, Cyber Monday is set to outshine 2018 sales by a factor of 20%. So we're going to have higher consumption. All right. And where do you think a lot of these products come from? Okay. So they're deep. I think that the issue with today's society, it's not a China or U.S. problem. It's that we as consumers expect the absolute highest value for bottom dollar. And as long as we have those expectations and expect quantity of goods at a cheap price, it's going to create a mismatch supply-demand chain. It doesn't work. You can't have top value products with a cheap dollar cost. All right, everything comes at a cost, and if it's not dollars, you might be the cost. All right, in today's markets, Asia, Japan's down 0.6%, Hong Kong is down 0.2%, China's up 0.3%, India's down 0.3% as well. Asian markets down across the board. In Europe at midday, London's down 1%, Paris down 0.6%, Frankfurt down 0.4%. Futures in the U.S., Dow, S&P, NASDAQ all down over 0.5%. Now sliding even more. We're at the minus 0.91% territory now, almost down a whole percentage point. S&P really doesn't have too much support until we hit the 80 marker, which is another 6 points down. All right, crude oil is up 0.3%, up to 56.12. Saudi Arabia, Russia saying that they're going to approach a situation with OPEC, and they do want to be a part of it and negotiate. So I think oil's rebounding a little bit. Saudi Arabian IPO price is getting set on the 5th of December. So is the OPEC meeting. You can see some volatility there. Gold's up 0.4% on this news. Bitcoin's down another percent. And this morning, we don't have any news events at all that are of importance. 9:10, another news item comes out. EU will seek immediate talks with the U.S. on how to solve the dispute over the French digital services tax, according to the EU delegation to the U.S. All right. The United States is responding because France put a 3% tax on companies making, I think, over 50 or over $100 million of revenue a year in their country, which is all the big companies, Google, Amazon, etc. All right, that's what we got on the morning market update. I think we've sold off quite a bit already this morning. I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of rebound, but you got to sell rallies today. You got to sell rallies today and see how much lower this market could go. I don't have an answer for you. Neither does anyone else. The Lord and Jesus himself wouldn't be able to tell you where this market's going to stop. So where's that? All right. Mark says 29.5. Usually listen to Mark. But I'll tell you this, I don't know where it's going. And if you are looking to know where the market's going, you're not looking to make money. You're looking to satisfy your ego. You guys have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Over and out. Hope you enjoyed today's extended morning market update. Appreciate you guys. And that's that. Craig, this whole tariff issue is already backfiring for both U.S. and China. I think I will put together a video. I did one, but I'll go into a little bit more detail. But for now, you guys have a great day. I'm going to open up the trading room and send it over to a good man in Atlanta for the oil morning market update. Bob, buy both. Later, guys.